Hey everybody, this is Robbie. This is my Williams 1980 Black Knight. I've LED'd the entire machine out. As you can see here, the bulbs on the sword 2 through 9 are not lighting. In fact, the LEDs that I had put in there became so hot that they melted. And so on this episode, we're going to research the topic, see if we can find anything on Pinside to find the culprit, and we'll show you what we did to resolve the issue. Please forgive the rolling shutter here with the lights. It looks a little odd, but I assure you everything is functioning normally.
Hey, how's the game going?
All right.
Hey, you into vans?
Depends.
On what?
The van and who's driving it.
Oh, yeah, well, see that van outside?
Yeah, I saw it drive up.
Yo, well, it's mine. Hey, you want to go outside and share a joint in the back?
Yeah, sure thing.
Dynamite.
A quick search on Pinside and we have another user that has a similar issue. So if we dig deeper, we go ahead and look and see Vid's guide here that says to replace the tip 42 transistors with MOSFET transistors. Another user says to use a different type of MOSFETs that can be used with a 0 ohm resistor to have a better looking appearance. A quick trip over to mouser.com and we can order the parts, a relatively inexpensive fix. And here we have Aaron doing the repairs. And indeed, Q67 turned out to be faulty with the help of this little transistor tester. And while we're at it, we're going to continue with Vid's bulletproofing guide and replace all the capacitors on the power supply.
Okay, so Robbie's pulled out his power supply from his Black Knight, and this was a System 6. Now, what we found out was that the earlier versions of the Black Knight were System 6, and then when they ran out of that stuff, then they updated and went to System 7. So some of the Black Knights are System 6, some are System 7, and why that was curious to us is because some of the things were different as far as the way some of the boards were laid out, locations of the transistors, transformers rather, that for the power was in the back box on his game. So it was interesting to find that information out. So what we're going to do here is, this game's what, 1980s when it was made, right?
Yeah,
so
almost 40 years old.
Almost 40 years old. And capacitors are basically like, you could equivocate them, to like a big battery pretty much. It's power on tap, keeps everything smooth as far as the power supply running through the boards and stuff like that. And they come in all different sizes, as you see here. In 1980, this is what a 12,000 microfarad 16 volt capacitor looks like. Well, today it's a lot smaller, and it's more. This is about 13,000. Oh, excuse me, no, this is 12,000 rather, at 25 volts. Some of the others, though, they can be a little bit more than this and still represent the same size. But point being, still very significantly smaller than what it was almost 40 years ago. Another thing that you can tell about capacitors is sometimes while they're aged, they'll lose some of their luster, so to speak. So they'll lose some of their capacitancy. Am I saying that right?
Capacity, yeah.
There you go, capacity. Thank you. They lose some of that, and so they're kind of weak. They just like a battery would be. They run a little low. They just don't have that spark that they used to, and so it's a good time to always look at changing them out. There's also a life expectancy, just like with everything else. Usually like 10,000 hours for a capacitor, and so I think we probably ran over that mark on this one. Another telltale sign on capacitors, if they're deformed at all, any bulging, these ones aren't too bad, but if there's any bulging out on the ends or even any deformity on the casing, then it's probably time to change them out. Of course, if you find any electrolyte or any type of leakage coming from either your end, then you definitely need to get that changed out. You don't want to get that stuff onto the boards. That stuff's very corrosive, and it will wreak damage on your ICs and other components that are on the PCB. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get into changing out these capacitors on this power supply right here, and flip it on over. Identify where my leads are at for this one. Okay, right there. I'll use the handy dandy solder sucker here. Again, and get it all around there. Gotta heat it up. Put this one too. And there's two ways you can go about doing it. You can solder suck it like I just did it, or when the leads are this big on a capacitor, you can just take your snips and you come in and you can snip them off just like that. We'll go ahead and get the zip ties off of this. Get that side, this side. Let's go and clip the ends. Alright, there's one capacitor out. when this was installed, the writing was heading up this way. And why that's important to know, I mean, you can always go back to the schematic, but it's important to know which way the polarity was, okay? And the positive needs to go to positive and the negative goes to negative, just like a battery. And sometimes on the board it will go ahead and it'll actually mark on there where the positive is located, so it's there on that one, located right there on that one. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. We're just going to heat up these leads. Take them out. Just got a little more solder on there. You always want to be careful when you're taking the leads out. You know how it comes out there clean and there's no eyes from the PCB. That's where a solder sucker comes in real handy at, and it leaves that eye in there. When you overheat them sometimes, you'll know if your soldering iron's too hot, is if this area right here lifts up off the PCB, it's gonna be, you're gonna have a bad day. We're just going to go ahead and clean that area up and take a little more of the solder out. So we got a nice clean hole. On this cap here, this marks negative, so this side is negative. Negative going that way. So positive is down here. Those fish are leads to the bottom there. Try to get even as possible. Solder it on in place. I knew. Here we go. Zip tie 1, Aaron 0. So Robbie's got this really cool device that will allow you to test the capacitor in circuit. Typically when you want to test the capacitor, you need to pop one of the leads off there, and then you take your multimeter and then you'll test it to see how much it still has the capability of holding. But with this, you can leave the capacitor in circuit, connect the leads, after a brief moment, there you go. So it's 13.5 thousand microfarad. this thing was rated at 12,000 microfarads, so it's got a little more than the rating. It's not a bad thing. This, however, is 12,000 microfarad, as this one is, but connect it, see what age is done to this one. So we're just at 11,000 with this one. So over 40 years, you've lost about 1,000 microfarads on that. On some of the other ones, though, we're going to show you later, it actually is even worse. We'll actually show you what it looks like when you do have a capacitor that's leaked, and then what the peak reader will show you when one is leaky. Alright, so we were talking about earlier that some of these capacitors are going to be able to test bad or leaky. So when we're talking about a capacitor that's bad, look at this one here. It's got this nice bulgy area right here. So let's go ahead and connect this one as it looks suspect. See what it tells us. Boom, circuit leaky. That tells us it's bad. At some point it's maybe poofed out a little bit of its electrolyte or something like that. Fortunately, it didn't go all over the board or anything like that, but regardless, we're gonna go ahead and replace it now.
Alright, it's on. Let's see what happens. I need to probably replace these bulbs though.
That's good, right? I mean, this is good here.
Yeah, well, everything looks like it's on, so
Okay, great.
let me just put some bulbs in here.
Okay, so as you can see, the Black Knight has risen again and is playing. It looks awesome. I mean, Robbie's game is really beautiful game. So the issue was that Robbie was having was, as I get to my notes here, all the sword, all the lights here on the sword were they're like melting, like I'm melting. What a world! Literally, the ends of these were melting off, right, Robbie? Melting these LEDs right off the bezel. So we took or Robbie actually did. He took a couple notes out of Vid's guide, right? Vid's guide, and we went ahead and followed it to the letter, and we replaced some of the resistors and some of the transistors on there to make it so this game is not only bulletproof from now on, but going to run nice and cool as well.
Yeah, so we removed the tip 42. Yeah.
First on.
So we removed the tip 42 transistors and put in some new MOSFET ones. I don't have the exact part number.
But we'll link them down in the description, yeah.
And then you put in the 0 ohm resistors right there. Yeah, so it looks beautiful.
So we're almost there. We're having a little bit of an issue with get all the way to this point. Now we have a little bit of an issue with sound. Black Knight sometimes wants to talk, sometimes it doesn't. That's gonna be the next thing we're gonna tackle, and then pretty much after that,
That's just the sound effects.
yeah. And then pretty much after that, we should be good to go. I think everything's gonna be pretty much on cruise control after that. It's interesting when you hit reset though, it works. Also, check it out. Our lighted mod's still working. Looks beautiful. Thanks, Chuck. And I guess that's it, man. Right? You got we got some time lapse of me doing some serious soldering, and you can check out my soldering skills. Please leave your if you have any type of feedback or criticism on my soldering skills, you can go ahead and fire away and put a comment down there below. And we are ramping up to the next part that we promised in our last video, which was, you know, talking to you guys about me selling Lord of the Rings, and Lord of the Rings is gone now. It's gone. Bye-bye. I shed a tear. And we'll have to see what's coming next. All right. Till then, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. See you later.